Let me take you on a journey, my journey. Back in 2018, I earned $2,107 in passive income. And by 2019, that number grew to $18,182. In 2020, it skyrocketed to $54,000. And on the following year, 2021, it was $56,000. Then in 2022, I hit 134,000, and by 2023, 159,000. So far in 2024, I've earned $172,000. And what's remarkable, I earned that money while I was sleeping, traveling, enjoying life, and most importantly, living with freedom. Now, here's the kicker. You can do this too. In fact, it's so simple it might even feel boring. So stick with me because I'll teach you the math, and in this part, I'll go ahead and answer the question in the title of the video. The other two topics are a bonus because after the math, I'll teach you the strategies. And finally, make tax considerations because it's very important for you. So if you're serious about making your life more prosperous, hit that follow button, leave a comment, and share this video because it's the first step toward the life you control. So let's go. Part 1. Let's do the math. There are 3 things you need to pay attention to. First, the goal. Second, the average dividend yield. And third, your savings. The goal is how much you need to live on every month. Maybe you're a frugal and simple person and just want to live on $20,000 a year, but maybe your goal is $1.2 million a year. These expectations need to align with reality, and that's why we will move to the next thing you need to pay attention to. The dividend yield is a simple way to measure how much money a company pays you in dividends compared to its stock price. Here's how it works. First, a company pays dividends, which are small portions of its profits to shareholders. Dividends don't include capital gains, okay? It's money that lands in your account regularly, and you can use it however you want. The dividend yield shows what percentage of the stock price you would receive in dividends over a year. In short, the higher the dividend yield, the more money you get in your account for every dollar invested. And as of early January 2025, the average dividend yield for the S&P 500 is approximately 1.31%. This figure is notably lower than the historical average, which is around 2.91%. And here's when you notice that our last thing on the list, the savings, are important. And why? Because if you invest $1 million with this historical average dividend yield of 2.91%, you would earn $29,000 every year only with dividends. You would need to invest something like $1.3 million to generate $40,000 per year with the same dividend yield, and approximately $41.2 million to generate $1.2 million per year. Of course, you can have higher dividend yields investing in specific companies like Verizon with a 6.8% yield. For example, if you want $40,000 per year at a 6.8% yield, you would need to invest approximately $588,000. If your goal is $1.2 million at a 6.8% dividend yield, you would need approximately $17.65 million. It's much better, right? But here's the thing. Normally, companies that pay more dividends are riskier and tend to lose capital value over time. I explain this in more detail and I teach you how to choose dividend income stocks in another video, so I'll add a card if you want to check it out. Let's move to the second part, the strategy. To invest, you need to build a portfolio, and your portfolio must have an allocation strategy because you can't put your money into investments blindly. And seriously, I will use some personal experience. I was an investment advisor in my earlier career, and my clients were very happy with my work. And the first thing I asked when I started putting together an investment portfolio was, how old are you? And why is age important? It's important because your financial goals, risk tolerance, and investment time horizon change as you grow older. When you are young and live at home with your parents, don't have your own family to provide, also don't have big expenses like mortgage or healthcare debt, your portfolio can be riskier, actually much riskier. And for younger investors, say those in their 20s or 30s, the focus should generally be on growth. And this contrasts a bit with dividend stocks. stocks. Because normally, large dividend payers are consolidated companies that distribute this part of their profits precisely because they are not focused on investing so much in the growth of the structure. You shouldn't expect big growth from this kind of companies. And since you are young, you shouldn't be worried about having a passive income either, but about building the assets that will sustain you when you decide to retire. Here's a good portfolio for your 20s. Around 65% of your investments can go into growth stocks that are called like this because they are companies in sectors like technology, biotech, or renewable energy. These are businesses with high potential for returns over time like Tesla, Nvidia, or even Shopify. If you're comfortable with the idea, you might allocate 10% to Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. But this part is completely optional. If you don't understand the crypto market, it's better to focus on investments you're confident about. And you could put another 10% to reliable dividend-paying stocks, for instance. These are companies like Procter & Gamble or Johnson & Johnson, which not only grow over time, but also pay you dividends that you can reinvest to accelerate your portfolio's growth. Keeping 10% of your portfolio in cash is also a smart move because this gives you liquidity for emergencies or even opportunities. And finally, you might allocate 5% to bonds. Even though this is a small percentage, it adds a bit of stability to your portfolio. So from 30 to 50, your portfolio must change. 50% in growth stocks, 10% in Bitcoin and crypto, and 20% in dividend stocks, also 10% in bonds and 10% in cash. This portfolio still focuses on growth, but it gives you more safety. In these ages, your focus is to maintain growth while adding moderate stability. If everything goes right, happily you reach your 50s with a good amount of money in your account. And you want to protect this amount until your retirement age. So your portfolio must be much safer. For example, 35% dividend stocks, 20% growth stocks, 30% bonds, 10% cash, 5% Bitcoin and crypto. And since you're focused, consistent, and committed to studying, let's imagine that you'll be able to retire by the age of 65. You can take all the money you've already built and allocate your portfolio on something like this: 40% in high-yield dividend stocks such as Realty Income, Ultra Group, and AT&T, 30% in dividend growth stocks like Microsoft, Johnson & Johnson, Visa, and Procter & Gamble, 20% in bonds, 10% in cash, and of course, that's not all. Here, we only talked for now about how much money you need to have and how to prepare your strategy. But you will need to study much more than that. Fortunately, I'm here to help you, and if you haven't started subscribing to this channel yet, this is the moment. I'll bring you videos every week to make you more and more financially educated. And I promise, in a short time, your financial life will be completely transformed. So don't waste time. Sign up and also click on the bell. Now we can move to the third part, the taxes. Let's talk about taxes. Something every investor needs to understand, especially when planning to live off dividends. In the US, dividend income is taxed, but the rate depends on the type of dividends you receive. Qualified dividends are the more tax-friendly type. These dividends come from US corporations or eligible foreign companies that meet IRS requirements. They are taxed at the lower long-term capital gains tax rate of 0%, 15%, or 20%, depending on your total taxable income. If your total taxable income is up to $44,625 for single fillers or $89,250 for married couples filing jointly, you won't pay any federal taxes on qualified dividends. If your taxable income falls between $44,000 and $492,000 for single fillers or $89,000 and $553,000 for married couples, you pay 15%. The 20% tax rate applies to those with taxable income above $492.3 thousand for single fillers or $553,000.8 for married couples. These dividends typically come from well-established companies like Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, or Coca-Cola, making them a smart choice for taxable accounts. Ordinary dividends, on the other hand, are not not tax advantaged. They're taxed at your regular income tax rate, which can be significantly higher depending on your tax bracket. This makes ordinary dividends less efficient in taxable accounts, as you might pay more in taxes compared to qualified dividends. So, if you're planning to retire and live off dividends, the amount you actually pocket depends on how efficiently your portfolio is structured to minimize taxes. For example, investments in a Roth IRA can grow tax-free, and withdrawals, including dividends, are also tax-free. This is a powerful tool for younger investors to consider. In a traditional IRA or 401k, you don't pay taxes while the money grows, but you owe taxes on withdrawals, including dividends, when you retire. In taxable accounts, focus on holding qualified dividends to keep your tax rate lower. So keep in mind that many states also tax dividends, and the rates vary widely. If you live in a state like Florida or Texas, you're lucky because there is no state income tax. But if you're in California or New York, those state taxes can take a serious bite out of your dividend income. And as you are near retirement, your portfolio isn't just about how much you earn, but how much you keep. So work with a tax advisor to build a tax-efficient portfolio and consider strategies like tax loss harvesting, which can offset some of your gains with losses from underperforming investments. And finally, always calculate your dividend income with taxes in mind. If you need $50,000 a year to live comfortably, aim for at least $60,000 because it will cover taxes and ensure you have enough to meet your needs. And remember what I said, kind of boring, but super simple. That's it, cousins. This was today's video, and I hope you enjoyed this content. I wanted to give you a little bit of the strategic vision of investment, but never forget that the secret is always consistency and improving a little every day. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching until the end, because this shows your commitment to your financial life. See you in the next video, and bye-bye.